This is the moment Homeland Security interrupted the cameras to arrest Real Housewives of Salt Lake City's Jen Shah. Although she claimed to have a career in direct response marketing, court filings allege that since at least 2012, she was a leader of a wide-ranging nationwide telemarketing fraud scheme that victimized thousands of innocent and elderly people. The scheme involved selling victims various business services that promised them financial security, but in reality, Jen Shah and her co-conspirators would defraud them out of their savings and leave them with nothing to show for it. Additionally, Jen Shah would sell leads or contact information for potential victims who she had identified as susceptible to the scheme's lies. Many of Jen's victims were elderly and disabled people who were suffering from significant financial hardship, and at Jen's direction, their bank accounts would be emptied, their credit cards maxed, and they wouldn't stop until they had nothing left. During the trial, an assistant U.S. attorney spoke about how Jen Shah showed no remorse about defrauding her victims, even pointing out one case in which Jen reportedly mocked an 80-year-old victim to her fellow defendants. The assistant U.S. attorney stated that there were thousands of victims just like the one she mocked. Allegedly, Jen knew the government was catching on to her, and she took a series of increasingly extravagant steps to conceal her criminal conduct from authorities. According to court documents, Jen allegedly put businesses and bank accounts in the name of others, required payments in cash, moved some of her operation overseas, and instructed others to delete text messages and electronic documents. According to the court, these efforts were not short-lived or narrow in scope. She engaged in a years-long comprehensive effort to hide her continued role in the scheme. Jen was facing two serious federal crimes: conspiracy to commit wire fraud, which carries a max sentence of 30 years, and conspiracy to commit money laundering, which carries a max sentence of 20 years. Staring down the barrel of a potential 50-year sentence, 49-year-old Jen Shah pled guilty in a Manhattan courtroom and was ultimately sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. In addition to the prison sentence, she was also sentenced to 5 years of supervised release and ordered to forfeit $6.5 million, 30 luxury items, 78 counterfeit luxury items, and to pay $6.6 million in restitution. Fraud is a common theme amongst Real Housewives cast members, and something that tore apart New Jersey couple Teresa and Joe Giudice. Known for their rocky relationship and Joe's constant cheating, the couple were both charged with conspiracy to commit mail fraud, wire fraud, bank fraud, making false statements on loan applications, and bankruptcy fraud in a 39-count indictment. Allegedly, Teresa claimed to be employed as a real estate agent, which made it easier for the couple to obtain a bigger mortgage deal from 2001 to 2008. They also submitted false applications and documents, including fake pay stubs and tax returns, to secure more than $5 million in loans over a period of 10 years. Teresa also withheld the full amount of income she received from the Real Housewives show, as well as the assets received from her food and cookbook business. Her husband Joe received additional charges, as he allegedly failed to file tax returns from 2004 to 2008. Despite Teresa claiming that she didn't know she was committing a crime, she was ultimately sentenced to 15 months in prison and ordered to pay $414,000 in restitution. Her husband Joe was sentenced to 41 months in prison. However, after serving his sentence, he was taken into ICE custody and ultimately deported back to Italy. As it turns out, he never had become an American citizen despite living in the country since he was a child. Following his deportation to Italy, the couple ultimately divorced. Speaking of divorce, Erika Jayne and husband Tom Gerardi from Housewives of Beverly Hills would split after a series of jaw-dropping revelations. Erika Gerardi, better known by her stage name, Erika Jayne, joined the Housewives of Beverly Hills in 2015 and quickly became a fan favorite. Known for her over-the-top lifestyle and $40,000 a month beauty budget, Erika enjoyed private jets, luxury clothing, and a music career, until everything came crumbling down after being named named in a lawsuit alongside her husband for allegedly embezzling millions of dollars meant for families of the victims of the fatal 2018 Lion Air plane crash.
The Lion Air flight went down with almost 200 people on board. Emergency workers have recovered personal items and some human remains from the sea.
In 2018, just 13 minutes after taking off, Lion Air Flight 610 crashed into the Java Sea, killing all 189 people on board. It was the first major accident involving a Boeing 737 MAX, a new aircraft at the time. Tom Gerardi was working at a law firm representing the victims' families and was in charge of paying out his clients after receiving a settlement from Boeing. However, a high-profile Chicago law firm accused Tom and Erika of allegedly embezzling millions meant for the victims' families in order to keep the couple's celebrity status and to, quote, project a public image of obscene wealth at all times and at whatever the cost. The firm also alleged that their divorce was a, quote, sham attempt to fraudulently protect Tom and Erika's money. Ironically, the firm suing them used Erika's quote about spending $40,000 per month on her look, as well as her song Expensive that features the chorus, "It's expensive to be me," as a motive for the embezzlement. In March of 2021, the Los Angeles Times reported that Tom Gerardi had been sued more than 100 times, including a lawsuit from his business partners at his previous firm, alleging that Tom owes Wells Fargo more than $882 million after failing to make monthly payments for rent, taxes, fees, and more on their office. Tom was also diagnosed with late-onset Alzheimer's disease and dementia the same month, and his lawyers attempted to use it to avoid trial. However, in January of 2024, a federal judge declared Tom competent to stand trial and set a trial date for May 21st, 2024. All the way back in 1986, Real Housewives of New Jersey, Danielle Staub, was arrested by FBI agents for her role in a kidnapping plot. Danielle and her boyfriend/accomplice, Daniel Aguilar, kidnapped someone's son and attempted to extort a $25,000 ransom from their father, while threatening to injure or kill their child if they didn't receive the money. Apparently, the kidnapping was a result of a botched drug deal that lost Danielle a kilo of cocaine, worth $24,000 at the time. Over the years, Danielle has insisted that her involvement in the crime was minimal. However, court documents state that she was the one who made the ransom calls, threatening to injure and kill their child. These calls would ultimately be her downfall, as federal agents were able to trace them back to Danielle's Miami apartment, where they found 6 kilos of cocaine and about $16,000 in cash. Danielle was charged with 8 felonies, including extortion, possession, and narcotics conspiracy. Potentially facing decades in prison, Danielle quickly flipped sides and cooperated with authorities, only taking on 1 felony while signing a plea agreement with federal prosecutors and FBI agents. After switching sides and agreeing to snitch on her partners, Danielle and her family allegedly received death threats and threatening calls. However, due to Danielle's cooperation, she was only sentenced to 5 years of probation for her extortion conviction, while her then boyfriend/accomplice received a 15-year sentence. Interestingly, Danielle's criminal past came to light on the first season of Housewives of New Jersey after other cast members read the book Cop Without a Badge, a book which recounts the career of a former undercover FBI informant who had once been married to Danielle. At one point in the book, the author describes the arrest of his then wife, Danielle Staub, leading to questions from her castmates. However, to this day, Danielle maintains her innocence and chalks her involvement in the kidnapping to being in the wrong place at the wrong time.